Let's talk about a young Buddhist named Yihuang Yang, who is now 18 years old. 3 years ago, when I lectured the treasured repentance of Emperor Liang at the Lotus Society, he was introduced by classmate Venus to come to our club to attend lectures. Every time he heard the inspiring story of reciting the Buddha's name, this young man Yihuang would tell it with gusto to his parents, relatives, friends and neighbors. And with the consent of his parents, he invited a large picture of the three saints in the West and enshrined them at home. Every morning, he worshipped sincerely and recited the Buddha's name before going to work. Last summer, the neighbor's family of Yihuang moved back to their hometown in Shalu. Yihuang had taught the housewife of this family, so she understood that reciting Amitabha can ward off disasters, so the field of her 8 consciousnesses had planted the diamond seeds. But no one in his family, including the husband, were willing to recite it. Her husband worked as a blacksmith in a factory in Taichung. One day, because the job was busy, his boss asked him to return to his hometown to recruit workers. This gentleman was a diligent and honest man. When he finished his night work, he took the 11 o'clock midnight train back to Shalu. But he had to walk for an hour to get home and had to cross a coastline railway. This gentleman arrived at the town at around midnight. He wanted to hire a taxi but was asked for 20 Taiwan dollars. However, it was too expensive for the frugal man, so he decided to go home on foot. When he walked far in front of the railway, he heard the sound of a woman crying and wailing. When he approached the railway, he saw the woman, about 17 years old, sitting on the railway. The woman was wearing white clothes with a backpack. This man was a little scared and walked over in a hurry. But the woman who was crying on the railway came from behind and kept calling. "Sir! I want to follow you home." At this time, the man heard the woman's screams coming from behind, getting closer and closer. He couldn't help but feel that the hair on his body stood on end, wondering what demon it was. He was so frightened that he turned around and ran desperately back home. It was already past 1 o'clock at midnight when he got home. The man knocked the door in a panic. As soon as his wife opened the door, the husband rushed in and fell on the chair, unconscious and gasping for air. The smart wife felt it unusual, and immediately chanted Amitabha loudly beside him. After less than half an hour of chanting, the man gradually regained consciousness and calmly told his wife about the scary ghost he had just seen chasing after him by the railway. His wife said, "You are muddle-headed and superstitious. You usually hang some charm on your chest to ward off evil spirits. Yihuang taught us to recite Amitabha, but you don't believe it. If I hadn't chanted Buddha's name desperately after you returned home, you might still be in a coma." The above story is what Yihuang told me. I asked him, what happened to that man later? He replied, nothing happened. He came to work in Taichung again the next morning. Yihuang was so compassionate that he guided his neighbor to recite Buddha's name, and saved her husband from being teased by a female ghost.